Chapter 11. The air thrummed with lingering magic as Nicholas struggled to rise. Every fiber of his being protested, his veins ablaze with the toxic mana coursing through him. In a fleeting instant, his vision faltered, transforming the chaotic battlefield into a distorted image of fire, smoke, and fallen soldiers. He felt the weight of time pressing on him. A rapid deterioration coursed through his bones, unlike anything he had ever experienced. His skin was etched with creases. It was like time aged him by centuries in a single heartbeat. Yet he had no luxury to reflect on his fate. The city still stood, but at what terrible cost? A sergeant stumbled toward him, his armor battered and sword marred, yet still clutched tightly. The bleakness in his eyes reflected the loss he felt as he scanned the wreckage. Around them, the surviving soldiers moved through the debris, tending to the wounded and honoring the dead. The conflict had concluded, but its scars would run deep. A contingent of Thesian soldiers approached, their faces drawn with fatigue.
Sir,
The sergeant managed a feeble salute.
we have secured what remains of the city. The dragon's presence has vanished, and the rift has been sealed. But the cost was steep.
Nicholas nodded, swallowing hard against the rising tide of guilt within him. He had anticipated a victory fraught with sacrifice, but the weight of it still felt overwhelming.
What of our commander, the lieutenant, and that orc?
The sergeant asked suddenly, his voice tinged with concern. Nicholas hesitated, letting the words roll around in his mind before speaking.
They are gone. The dragon's portal has taken them. Their destiny remains a mystery.
A heavy silence enveloped them. Nicholas clenched his staff, willing his body to remain steady.
We will locate them, I promise. But first, we must care for those who remain. We shall rebuild and prepare ourselves. The dragon may be vanquished, but its ominous farewell lingers in my thoughts.
The sergeant regarded him, brow furrowed in confusion.
What do you mean?
Nicholas let out a deep, measured breath.
It spoke of leaving me a parting gift. I cannot yet grasp the full meaning, but I fear that the truth will soon reveal itself.
In the Thesian castle nursery, sharp cries of a newborn filled the grand halls of the Thesian castle. Once a peaceful haven, the nursery now felt heavy, as if an unseen darkness weighed down the air itself. Queen Shira clutched her crying son tightly with shaky hands as she tried to calm the storm of cries from the tiny baby in her arms.
Dante, my love, please.
She murmured softly, rocking him gently in hopes of soothing him. But her comforting words seemed ineffective against his piercing wails. His screams grew louder, and his little body twisted as if something unseen tormented him. Beside her, King Hawthorne was gripped by a deep sense of despair. He stood frozen, fists clenched tightly at his sides, every muscle tense. Hearing his firstborn son cry out in pain shattered him. A wave of helplessness washed over him. This was a battle he couldn't fight, a foe he couldn't conquer with a sword. Without warning, a jagged scar slithered its way across Dante's delicate chest. It expanded rapidly, wrapping around his arms, chest, neck, and stomach, radiating an unsettling purple glow. It resembled dark ink flowing across his brown skin. The scar throbbed with an eerie intensity. It carried an unsettling rhythm that seemed to disrupt the surrounding air, sending tremors through the nursery. Objects began to shake, defying gravity before crashing to the ground. The wooden crib splintered, curtains tore from their rods like frightened animals escaping, and the glass windows cracked, creating intricate webs of fissures that spread out like frost on a winter's day. Hawthorne reacted by grabbing Shira's pale white shoulder as a sudden gust of wind rushed into the room, bursting the nursery doors open with a terrifying bang. Then the voice came. It roared through the castle like thunder, a presence unlike any other, deep and resonant, sending chills down the spines of all who heard it.
Inthro rag I fid trandala kuma nud quali drung.
Each word clawed at the air, spoken in a mysterious tongue that felt heavy. The voice receded, but its menacing presence still clung to them, an intangible weight that made breathing difficult. Shira gasped, clutching Dante closer to her chest, instinctively trying to protect him from whatever malignant presence had invaded their sanctuary. Finally, the king found his voice, trembling with uncertainty.
It felt like something pulled from the depths of nightmares, dark, ominous, and hungry for despair.
Shira inhaled sharply, her heart racing as she looked down at Dante. His cries had not softened. Instead, the strange scar on him pulsed with purple light more intensely, casting eerie shadows on the nursery walls that wriggled and flickered like restless spirits. The king swallowed hard as he tried to grasp the horror unfolding in front of him.
He might be cursed,
He finally whispered, the words hanging heavily, filled with despair. The queen flinched, her heart sinking painfully in her chest.
No.
She said firmly, shaking her head, as if by rejecting the words, she could erase the nightmare.
No, my son isn't cursed.
Dante's cries escalated in panic, and in response to his distress, the chaotic magic surrounding him surged, sending books hurtling from shelves, furniture slamming against the walls, and shards of glass exploding like fireworks. And as the wind mournfully wailed through the broken windows, an unmistakable truth enveloped the nursery like a dark shroud. Something powerful had claimed their son that day. 16 years later. In the center of a vast stone arena, a young man sat cross-legged, looking thoroughly out of place amidst the tranquil beauty surrounding him. The arena, an ancient circular expanse of weathered stone, was nestled in the shadow of the royal castle. Its perimeter bloomed with vibrant flowers and rare herbs, their fragrance drifting gently in the early morning breeze. Though the dawn's light had yet to break, the gardens shimmered with a quiet magic of their own. But serenity didn't reach Dante's heart. Despite the peace of the hidden sanctuary, his jaw was clenched, and his eyes darted behind closed lids. Tension lined his brow. He wasn't simply struggling with magic. He was at war with himself. Behind him, a tall elderly elf moved with practiced ease, his gnarled staff tapping rhythmically against the stone. Archmage Nicholas Granfry, his grandfather and once the most revered mage in the kingdom, hummed a low tune.
Do you sense it yet?
Nicholas asked, the corners of his mouth twitching in amusement.
No, I don't sense it.
Dante snapped, opening his eyes.
All I feel is the whole kingdom whispering that I'm broken, that I'm the cursed prince.
He started to rise, anger flaring in his chest, but the old elf gently pressed him back down with the end of his staff.
Patience is a discipline. It is developed, not something someone can give you.
Nicholas said calmly.
Patience?
Dante let out a derisive laugh.
I can't afford to wait around. Do you have any idea what people whisper about me?
He growled, his teeth clenched tight.
I'm the damned prince.
He ran his fingers through his tousled salt and pepper locks in a frenzy.
They live in fear of me.
Nicholas's face softened.
And fear is natural, but it doesn't make them right.
I'm nearing 17.
Dante mumbled softly.
Mom perfected elemental magic at the age of 11. She was a mage of nearly unmatched strength, second only to you, a queen adored by all.
Your mother had a remarkable talent, without a doubt,
Nicholas remarked as he took a seat next to him.
However, she didn't possess the same kind of magic that dwells within you. What ignites in your spirit isn't merely elemental. It's chaos, wild, erratic, and perilous, and indeed, exceptionally rare. The townsfolk don't grasp it, so they respond with fear. Yet remember, that fear doesn't define who you are. You define yourself.
Dante stared at the ground.
Then give me a chance.
Nicholas paused, then gave a nod.
All right. Just one elemental spell today. Let's see how you handle water.
He raised his hand, murmured,
Allure.
and a sphere of water appeared, swirling gently in front of him. With a flick of his hand, he sent it floating toward Dante, then let it burst mid-air, splashing him squarely in the face.
What the hell, old man?
Dante reeled back, soaked. Nicholas chuckled, tapping his staff twice against the stone. 2 glowing circles appeared on the floor before Dante.
Fill these with water.
Dante glanced at the puddle quickly being swallowed by the stone and frowned.
There's not enough water.
Then draw more.
Nicholas said, closing his eyes and settling into meditation.
I don't know how.
You won't learn by yelling.
Dante stood up and turned away, fists clenched.
This is stupid.
He muttered.
I'm a prince, not a failure. I shouldn't have to try so hard to do magic.
Nicholas didn't stop him. A few paces away, Dante hesitated. The whispers echoed in his mind.
The cursed prince.
He'll burn the kingdom down.
He sighed through his teeth and walked back, cursing under his breath as he dropped to the ground again. He made every effort, he truly did. Yet, the stillness was overwhelming. Everything was frozen in place. The water remained calm, and there was no feeling of mana in the air. Anger rose within him.
This is pointless.
He exclaimed loudly.
Can you hear me, you stubborn old-ass elf?
Rage curled in his gut. He opened his eyes and saw only darkness. The garden was gone. The arena was gone. Everything was gone.
Nicholas?
He called, turning in place.
Hey, old man?
No answer. A pressure built in his chest, heavy, like a stone pressing against his ribs. He swayed unsteadily, grasping his chest as his heart thudded wildly, each pulse a booming echo, every breath a searing flame. The air danced with a shimmering haze, while the earth quaked as if under the weight of invisible strides. An intense heat caressed his skin, unbearable and rapidly getting hotter. He screamed as his flesh felt like it was boiling.
Dante!
The voice tore through the haze, and in an instant, the darkness shattered. He found himself once more in the arena. This time, though, a roaring blaze surrounded him. Towering walls of fire trapped them both in a searing whirlwind of heat. Dante struggled to catch his breath, his gasps frantic and filled with fear.
Your mana. It's spiraling out of control.
Nicholas shouted as he dashed closer. The archmage pulled a radiant talisman from within his robes and brandished it ahead. A burst of azure light erupted, meeting the encroaching flames head-on. A surge of energy surged through the arena, making the flames crackle and roar before they disappeared, leaving nothing but wisps of smoke spiraling into the dawn. Dante fell to the ground, his knees hitting the scorched stone as violent coughs racked his body. The stone beneath him was charred to an ominous black. Beneath the wrappings under his clothes, his scar throbbed with a vivid purple hue, a reminder of something he could never fully escape. Nicholas knelt beside him, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder.
I didn't mean to.
Dante rasped.
I know.
The old elf's voice was gentle now.
But you must learn to master the storm inside you, before it controls you.
Dante looked around at the scorched arena, at the circle meant to teach him control. He nodded, shame thick in his throat.